Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to Rise Above TV, where we are empowering humanity and supporting unity. You're watching P3, the place where we feature individuals who have tapped into their power, passion, and purpose. I'm your host, Janie Terrazas, and today I'm very excited to be introducing my community to Jared Crebs, who is just such a phenomenal inspiration igniter. He's an online business mentor. And one of the things he also calls himself is a chillpreneur. And I think that's awesome because we need more of that outlook and that attitude and that lightheartedness, because life can be heavy. And right now we're experiencing a lot of heaviness for a lot of different reasons. So I want to honor everybody who is in pain right now and just offer love and peace and blessings to everyone around the world who is experiencing deep grief. And hopefully for a moment here, Jared and I will give you a chance to tap into your heart and feel inspired and feel hope, and possibly even go deeper into your faith, because that's really what we need right now. So Jared, I want to honor you greatly for being with us today. You have such an amazing story. So I'm sure you're going to drop all kinds of badass wisdom here during our time together.
Thank you. Thank you, Janie. I'm so glad to be here.
Describe Chillpreneur, because I'm sure when you first got started, we all experience a lot of fears when we start stepping out of our comfort zone. And I'm sure you weren't always super chill, but you are now.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So Chillpreneur actually came from a course that I took from Denise Duffield Thomas. It's called Money Boot Camp. And my wife found this course and she was like, should we do this? It helped with our money mindset. And we looked into it and we're like, yes, we need to do this. And one of the terms that she uses is chillpreneur, because as entrepreneurs, especially when you're out there like getting it started, you're working so hard, and there's still work and working hard in there, but doing it from a relaxed place, doing it from an abundant place. In the beginning, I've been in business for 15 years, and I've gone through all the ups and downs of owning a business, being in the online business space. And there's definitely that energy of like, I need to get business. I need to go and get, and I need to do, and I need to. And so it's not about being, it's not about attracting, it's about chasing, right? So I had to learn how to be more of an attractor instead of a chaser. And that's a process, right? I mean, I think when somebody starts new in business, they just think they have to be a chaser in the beginning, but you can actually be, you can actually still invite people. You can still put good content and do it with a loving energy. And that was probably the main thing I had to learn, was how to be that way on every interaction. And it's really one of those things where you just have to do it. And that's the only way you get better at it. And there's ups and downs. There's, they call it plan, do, review, adjust. And of course that means that you make a plan, you do it, you review it, and you say, oh, that worked. Oh, that didn't work. You make adjustments. And then you just keep doing that week in and week out. Plan, do, review, adjust. So I've been doing that for 15 years. And so made a lot of adjustments and got to this point, so, but I think that the best part is being able to impact other people, right? Helping other people also have great results with their business.
You really have led a lot of people into their ability to step into the abundance world of existence. And I know mindfulness is something that you practice daily, and I believe that you're also a practitioner. So you teach other people what it means to be a skilled observer of self. Mindfulness is about living on purpose in the now, right? Like in the present, but doing that non-judgmentally. What was the thing that inspired you or that made you become aware of the lack of awareness in terms of us operating from our autopilot? Like, what was that thing for you, or was it a multitude of things?
Well, actually, for me, I found mindfulness through music school. And I was actually at 20 years old, and I was really struggling in music school. So before online business, I was a guitar major, and I just knew that I wanted to become great at the guitar. And I was really like I sucked. Okay. I wasn't good, but I went to music school and there was all like 74 other guitar players and they were all the best. And I was like so nervous. I'd be shaking when I'd be playing, or I'd be like really thinking about like what other people are thinking, especially my professors. And like, there's so much ego involved. Like if I don't play good, then like even socially, like I'm not accepted, like, or it meant there was so much like ego stuff going on. So I had no idea about mindfulness at that time. And I came across a book called Effortless Mastery, and it's for musicians to learn how to stay in the moment and learn how to like play one note effortlessly and learn how to do it. But I couldn't do it. And so I would try and I'd be all mad, like, I can't stay in the moment. Crap. Like, but I knew that that's like what I needed to do. So I got on the search engines and I typed in staying with the moment, and I found mindfulness. I found this, actually it was a Buddhist nun in San Francisco, and she was like talking about mindfulness and equanimity. And, equanimity, the word equanimity, like I'd never heard that, but that's the ability to look at things without judgment, right? And so I started to get, I started to be like really interested, and I started to email this Buddhist nun. Like, I'd be like, so like, okay, what about girls? Like, am I supposed to like not like girls too? Or like, like things like that. And she's like, just don't cling to them, like, so she would say things like that. Right.
Yeah. So she was like your first like date coach. This is awesome. Like, think about that for a second. That's like such an interesting piece of your stories. Like, so then my first date coach was also the nun.
Oh yeah, actually the story gets even better, because I was like started to get successful. Like I'm like, oh, I'm able to play this music without judging it, and I'm able to get better at the guitar. And then I was like, okay, well, everybody's suffering from this in music school. I see that everybody's stressed out about it. Why don't we create the mindfulness club? So I actually, we'd read this Buddhist nun's book. Like, she had a book on mindfulness. It was like this little thin pamphlet. And so we would get together. I would have this little group on Tuesday nights, and we would read this book. And I'm like, I'm not a teacher. I just read the book, and I'm with you guys, and we can read it and talk. And like, I create this little community. And then when I told her what we were doing, I'm like, I'm going to get university funding, and I'm going to fly you out to Texas. And I did. I got university funding. They gave us like $500, and I bought her flight, and she came out, and we had this like awesome thing. And I brought her out 2 times like that, like over like a couple of years. So I got like way into it, like, because I was like having so much results with my music, and I was happier, and I started to use it with my thoughts, because I would have thoughts that I didn't like. And I'd be like, I hate that thought. Well, if I hate that thought, then now I'm all stressed out. And so being able to like look at it without judgment, right, was really a big thing. So then I was like mindful. And so I got really, really into it. And it really kind of launched my, I guess you could say, my mindfulness practice, and started me on this path that got me more now into A Course in Miracles, which is very similar, but adds the element of forgiveness in there. And so that extra element of forgiveness, though, that takes it like a whole nother level.
Yeah, it's bringing the compassion into it. Your power was innately coming out to gather people. That's another part of like your passion and your power and your purpose, from what I'm hearing.
Yeah, it was like an extension, right? It was like giving. It was like, okay, if this is helping me, and I can create a space to let other people get the information, then like, so be it, right? Like I'll do it. And I just felt like a joyous thing. It wasn't like a job or anything. I was still at my music school, very, very involved. So I could only do like once a week on a Tuesday night, and like we would meet in the common area, when you're in college or whatever, you meet there. So the couches, right? Sit on the couches. And but yeah, I think that extension or that giving was kind of a natural thing for me. And it's actually kind of now seeped into the Course in Miracles as well. Of course, it's been about 18 years since I started all the mindfulness stuff. And now through the Course in Miracles, I actually made another group for Course in Miracles. So now it's like we're an online group, and people get on Zoom, and we have like anywhere from 30 to 60 people every week on our Course in Miracles calls. And we're not even talking about online business, right? But like, it just seems that it all blends in, because business is really a relationship thing. You know, it's like friends first. So ironically, I end up also connecting with a lot of them on the business level too. But it's not about that. Like we started with just a couple people on our Course in Miracles, like 5 people, you know, and it just kind of grew over. But I don't care. I don't care if there's 1 or 2 people, or if there's 60 people. If we're talking about the content of forgiveness and mindfulness, then that's why I'm there for that. You know,
yeah,
so.
and I love the Course in Miracles. I also follow it and practice it. I stumbled across that, I think about 9 years ago. And so can you give people just like some cliff notes about what a Course in Miracles is? It's very much tied to your spiritual walk, you know, and I know it bleeds into all areas of your life. And when that's really solid, everything else is solid. And so just tell people, what is a Course in Miracles?
So A Course in Miracles is the teachings of Jesus in a 365-day like workbook. And it also has a text and a manual for teachers. So it's kind of like it's a big book. But the thing that I like about it is that there's really no like religion aspect to it. So it's really a personal study course that anybody can do on their own. And the whole goal of the course is to completely undo the ego, completely wake up from the dream, right? And that is very valuable. And there's a part of us that also doesn't want that, right? The ego part. So there's kind of a push and pull as somebody ascends kind of into that mindset. But I really love the fact that it's that it's just like a private thing. It's something that people just study on their own. We do have our groups. There are groups out there, but those are optional. They're just something that somebody can do if they want to. And that's probably the best way to put it. There's an audiobook by Gary Renard called The Disappearance of the Universe. And that's what I recommend if you want to like actually get into the more specifics of what A Course in Miracles can do to support you with your business and in your life in general. I would suggest you get that audiobook first and listen to the Gary Renard Disappearance of the Universe. That's actually what helped me also understand the course was first Gary Renard's audiobook.
Yeah, that's how I learned about the course, because I read Disappearance of the Universe.
Oh my gosh.
And that was back in, I think I read that in 2011 or something.
Wow.
And that started my truth-seeking journey. And I was able to receive the information enough to really sort of jumpstart and motivate and put that light inside, like spark the light of curiosity. And what you seek, you shall find. And clearly, you've been seeking this important information to help you live optimally. And it started at a pretty young age, which is interesting. Where do you think that came from?
Well, I think it came from probably past lives of being just into that stuff in, prior, to be able to just like want it so bad already, and I wasn't like young. I mean, 20, 21, 22 is like already about time to like go into college. So I wasn't like one of those 5-year-olds or 12-year-olds who like had anything like that going on. I was pretty much normal, like in that sense of just average American suburban person, whatever.
But I'm telling you though, like even when you said that, and you're right, and I'm glad that you made that reference, because some children and some people really get it. They have some major spiritual awakening, or they're around the right people or whatever, and it happens pretty early on. But even for you starting at 20, that's usually in those 20s, is when we're doing a lot of like reckless behavior and a lot of dumb things. And it's not to say that you didn't have your own version of that, but there's a spectrum in which it could like fall on. And and you happen to use part of your 20s, even though you might have made some jackass moves here and there.
Of
You know,
course, absolutely.
wait, what'd you say?
Absolutely, absolutely. I did all this stuff too.
Yeah. But at the same time, you were like communing with like-minded individuals and writing and asking pretty interesting questions to a Buddhist nun. You know, how many 20-year-olds are you going to like speak to that did that? And so I know right now, Jared, a lot of people are dealing with a lot of different fears for a lot of different reasons. Before the quarantine hit, you know, that was already happening. And now with the quarantine and then everything that's going on with the oppression that, you know, the Black community has had to endure, that just ignites even more fear and more division. And so what do you feel is something that is important that people can do now to, you know, mindfully deal with their fear and like their anger?
Sure, absolutely. And I completely want to acknowledge that what is happening in the world today is obviously can create a lot of fear for a lot of people. And for me, what really helps is actually knowing that the peace of God is right below this veil of fear. So when I see myself judging somebody on politics, or I see myself wanting to escape or wanting to just like get on my phone and just like watch all this fear stuff or anything like that, that there's actually some type of part of me that wants them to be guilty. There's some part of me that wants all that to like make me innocent and like for somehow like that. What part of me is trying to project my guilt into this news or this stuff? So I learned that if I can see that it's actually me wanting, I almost want to watch that so I can be innocent, like that concept. Then if I can see that, then I can say, okay, the peace of God's right below this veil of desire or substitution, right? So it's a lot about actually asking the Holy Spirit for help. Like, Holy Spirit, please help me right now to see this differently, not make it real. And then seeing below that is the peace of God, which is like totally happy, totally never changed, never been affected by any of this illusion, right? And so that concept of nothing real can be threatened. Like, the peace of God cannot actually be changed at all. And then nothing unreal exists, meaning that all of this world and this illusion of a veil is actually just that, right? So herein lies the peace of God. That's the rest of the statement. But like, I think that's like the first words of A Course in Miracles or something. You know, all that takes time to like learn and to like really get into it. But it really comes down to, how bad do I want peace? How bad do I want to wake up from the dream? And you've got to really want it to get into this type of stuff. Like, you've got to want it. And it's, if you want it and you're willing to do those types of things, then you're going to have a lot of peace and you're going to get better at it, right? And I would say that forgiveness is like a skill. It's just like a skill of doing anything, whether, you know, like playing a guitar or shooting, you know, playing basketball. Like, it's a skill. And so once I kind of said, okay, I'm just going to really get good at this skill. I'm going to set aside time every day to read. I'm going to set aside, I mean, this is to me like the most important thing is awakening, quote unquote, or shedding this ego and really like ending reincarnation. Okay. Like, I'm already at that point where like, I don't want to keep coming back. Okay. Like, I'm over it. But the only way that I'm going to be able to do that is by putting out good effort, right? On my forgiveness and things like that. And really trusting the Holy Spirit in my business stuff. So that's the other side. You know, there's this part of me that wants to really be on my affirmation game, because if I'm on it, then I'm going to attract better stuff. But there's still fear behind that. There's still fear behind, like, I'm trying to protect my body and Jared's money and providing for my family. So I have to actually give that also to the Holy Spirit and say, please take this. I put you in charge. I give you my business. I give you my goals. I give you my relationships. I give you this body. Okay, like you're in charge of this, Holy Spirit. I want the peace of God. And so like that's surrender. And what I learned about surrender is a lot of times more business comes when there's that type of surrender. I've noticed a lot more money coming in for our business and success and people. And but it's not about that. It's about the surrender. And that there's always going to be the ego story of fear and loss, right? Be above it. So the ego will say, well, if you're not doing your affirmations, then you're going to, everything will fall apart. So the ego is I'll get this thought and I'll be like, oh, there it is. And I give it to the Holy Spirit and I say, I want the peace of God right below it. So it's a constant, like that's actually a constant thing for me. So like, I guess maybe eventually I won't have those all the time, those thoughts, but right now I have lots of thoughts like that where I have to continually just ask the Holy Spirit for help, give it to the Holy Spirit, and then say, I want the peace of God above all else. And then it seems like it actually dissipates.
Yeah, it's like you're purifying your thoughts in real time. And it's also too, everything you described in terms of surrender and the way you were saying, I give my body, I give my, I do that too. It's like, I give you my tongue, I give you my brain, I give you my heart, like work through me. And to me, that's like, thy will be done. Thy will be done through me on earth as it is in your heaven. Because we're here to be instruments to bridge peace on earth. And that whole Gandhi saying about be the change you want to see in the world, how can we do that? How can we expect that of other people and then not hold our own selves accountable? And so each day, one of my affirmations, to the Holy Spirit every day is like, show me my hypocrisy. That's one way in which I can then see another. And then when I'm wanting to throw that judgment, like you were saying, that thought or that emotion, I notice it, which is really great. But what's really awesome now is that because I'm asking to seek my own hypocrisy, it could show me a way in which maybe I could be that way or how I used to be. And then I see everyone as me. So it makes it much easier. There's no more separation between me and everybody else. I understand we're all here, a piece of the I am, in a very specific avatar to have a very specific experience. And like you said, going back to how do you want to show up in the world? You're like a freaking lighthouse that's doing what Jesus said, and you're an example. What are some other self-care practices that you do aside from what you've already been describing that are important to you?
Thank you. And yeah, one of the biggest keys I will share for everybody watching is to go to bed with your cell phone like in another room, like to have your phone like somewhere else. And I wake up to this alarm clock that's like from 1999 or something. It's like really cheap Walmart alarm clock. But like that alarm clock, what happens is when I wake up, I don't look at my phone, because if I look at my phone, then what happens is there's brain waves, there's alpha waves, and there's beta waves. And so alpha is when you're like in this zen, like you're not quite awake yet mode. And that's where all of like the creative ideas are. And that's where inspired ideas are. And so I will actually meditate for about 10 minutes soon as my alarm goes off. And I'll actually sit up though. I won't lay in bed. I'll actually, sit up. I'm still in bed, but I'm like upright. And I breathe in and I breathe out, and I have the timer just set. And I started actually doing it, I think, for like 5 minutes. And then I was like, well, I'm going to add a couple minutes, And then actually now it's 20 minutes, but it didn't start at 20 minutes for me. It started at 5. And then it kind of went up, keeps creeping up because it's like, feels good. It's like, I like, I've been doing it for so long now. But when I'm meditating, I say a couple prayers like to the Holy Spirit and to give, put the Holy Spirit in charge for the day. And then I do my best to just breathe in and out and listen to the air conditioner, or listen to the water outside, or listen to whatever sounds are happening. And I breathe in and out, and I get really happy. Like I smile and I breathe in and out. And I'm not trying to think, I'm trying to just listen to the sounds. Now, there will be thoughts that come up, like text Juan, or, call this person. And I actually have a piece of paper next to my bed, and I'll actually write it down so I can get back to my meditation without worrying about forgetting the idea, right? So sometimes my mind will wander, and it's okay. I don't judge it. I don't try and be a perfect meditator, but then the timer goes off, and I have a second phone. You know how you have your old phone? Some of you hopefully kept your old phone. So I have my old phone right next to my bed, but there's no cellular service to that phone, okay? But it has internet, so it's like an iPod. And I play Abraham Hicks videos while I make my bed. And Abraham Hicks' law of attraction, it talks about having a happy day, getting into the vortex. So I'm brushing my teeth, I'm making my bed, and I'm hearing all this stuff about being in alignment. And I'm not checking my messages, I'm not checking social media, I'm not checking the news, right? Like my main phone is in the other room, and I am listening on my backup phone to Abraham Hicks YouTube videos. Very kind of like intentionally not trying to look at the phone, okay? But I'm just brushing my teeth and getting really happy, and then I actually would then start my day. And so anybody can do that. Anybody can do this. I mean, because that really is only maybe if you meditate for 10 minutes and then you put on your inspirational video for another 10 minutes, you had a good start to your day. I've now extended that to reading the Course in Miracles for like an hour. So my goal is to go into and read the course. So I don't actually look at my phone now for the first 2 hours of the day, a lot of the time. But again, I'm not telling everybody to go that far yet. It's you have to start somewhere, and just start with just a little 5-minute meditation followed by a video. That's a good place to start.
It's all about baby steps. What time do you typically wake up in the morning?
Well, I wake up 8 hours after I go to sleep is usually the strategy. And again, this is thanks to my online business. I don't have a workplace, or I don't have to log in at any time, right? So that's the part of online business probably that's the best. So I will usually go to bed around 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. Okay, I'm a night person, and I'll wake up at 9, 10, or 11, whenever. But I don't have kids. I just can do that, right? So if somebody's watching that has kids and a family, then you got to change. I know other people in online business who are mega successful. They have families and they have a different schedule. But yeah, getting sleep is really important. So whatever your life is 7 hours minimum, 8 hours optimal, and really making that a priority is a big part of health, right? So I want to encourage people to get their sleep if they can.
Awesome. Clearly, you are living life deliberately, intentionally, and authentically, and your story in itself and all that you've shared outline where power, passion, and purpose come from for you and what that actually looks like and feels like for you. You have figured out how to create a lifestyle that suits what it is that brings you the most joy. How can people learn more about your services and how maybe you can help them, or maybe they'll be interested in getting connected with some of the group classes that you offer and everything else that you have going on?
Well, my Facebook is Jared Krebs, just like it's spelled, J-A-R-E-B. And my Instagram is at Jared Krebs. So either of those, follow me. Our Course in Miracles group is called Living a Course in Miracles Audio Book Club, kind of long name. But if you search that on Facebook, you'll see it's a private group. And you can message me. Just message me on social media especially if you want to be added to that group, or if you're interested in online business stuff, we can talk there. But yeah, I mean, it's basically just those two places.
Are there any last little things that you would like to share before we go?
Yeah, really last thing I'd like to say is that no matter where you're at, find a coach, find a mentor that can support your development, and just follow their instructions. And Janie is awesome. All the things that you are doing to support humanity are so beautiful. I really honor that. I really want to acknowledge that as well. And thank you for bringing me on and interviewing so many great people in your programs. And so I just want to thank you for that, and encourage everybody to continue working with you, Janie, and following what you have to say, because man, you're on it. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jared, for being with us. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in to Rise Above TV, where we are empowering humanity and supporting unity. Be sure to tune into next week's episode of P3, when we'll be featuring Shavannah Speaks More. She's a global empowerment expert. You aren't going to want to miss what she has to say about power, passion, and purpose. Subscribe to Rise Above TV's YouTube channel and podcast. Till next time, peace be in us.